Well, hello, football fans. Welcome to the NFL version of Proline. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas, joined by Vegas cappers Harvard Barnhart and Zach Simony. Got 3 NFL games for Week 4 to take a look at. First, let's start off by telling you some of the news and notes in Vegas. Harvard, the sportsbook, certainly didn't enjoy Week 1 of the NFL season, and they didn't enjoy this week either.
Well, let me tell you something. There's more than one sportsbook director probably out right on the edge of Hoover Dam. After Sunday's performance, the blue skies of Vegas turned cloudy and rained a bunch of losers for the sportsbook. They got crushed more than anything they've seen and like that in years and years and years. Consider this. You know how the public likes the favorites and the parlay cards? Well, it started off early. Atlanta, they were a favorite. They got the cash. Baltimore, they got the cash. Oakland got the cash. New England, big favorite, got the cash. Pittsburgh, little small tiny favorite, got the cash. Arizona got the cash. Seattle, they were trying to get a little bit of the money back with Seattle. They shut down on Chicago. And then that night game, Denver, they got the cash there. Then they followed up. All the parlay bettors played Green Bay and over on Monday night, and you saw what happened. One of the biggest losses ever in the history of sports betting for the sports books. And let me tell you something. I not only had a lot of those losers myself, I also bet Miami. Hey, I'm a Buffalo fan. I bet Miami. So my plays lost. And I'll tell you another thing. In a little bit, as a way of transparency, I don't mind telling you when I win, obviously, and I don't mind telling you when I lost. And I can see what happens as a player myself. You know, you see that I was 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, and you're like, gosh, you know, I should have gotten on later. He's due to lose and things like that. Then I had a big winner on Saturday. I went to 8-1. Well, you know what? You don't have to wait any longer. I lost on Sunday. The streak is over. There's a new streak going right now. I ended that one at 8-2, so the new streak starts this week, 0-0. And by the way of losing that game Sunday on JimFeist.com, I'm going to make sure to make it up for you when you call it. When you go to JimFeist.com and click on Harvard, you're going to get Saturday and Sunday's 10-star plays from me. Just to help everybody that has all that money in their pocket, to triple up this weekend.
Yeah, the books don't like it when the favorites won, and boy, what a Sunday it was. And these games weren't even close. The Patriots rolled, Arizona was out in front early and steamrolled, and then the Green Bay on Monday night was up early and covered. In addition to Seattle was winning all the way, so it was an amazing. But Week 1 of the NFL was like that, and then Week 2 the Dogs did very well, so they bounced back. Zach, you got some notes too for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, NFL Sunday, I only put out 3 games. I went 1-2, and then college football was 3-2. So it was an even week for me. 58% in NFL overall, 60% in college. And the reason why I had only 3 plays in the NFL was just because of what I saw spread-wise. I thought it was going to be an easier week, but when I'm looking at finalizing games, you've got 5 games that were at pick'em, 3 games that are 3 points or less, 2 games, 6.5, 7-point range, and then you had the flotation lines and the Patriots and Seahawks. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just gonna take it easy this week. And I really did a lot of evaluation. I made sure I'm in the books 6-7 hours watching those games, and I'm just doing a lot of evaluation, seeing really poor quarterback play, and the defenses overtook on Sunday. So that's why you saw Colin Kaepernick struggle, you saw Blake Bortles struggle, you saw Jimmy Clausen struggle, go on and on with the quarterback play. And if these guys don't get better, the books are going to really have a tough time adjusting. So they're turnover prone. Ryan Fitzpatrick turnover prone, and I think you're going to be there's going to be some adjustments made from the books, obviously from a spread point advantage, but the quarterback play is just so polar opposite on these teams right now. You saw Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers just destroy Kansas City, and it's a nightmare out there right now. So I think the books are going to have a tough time adjusting, but they will, which is very important. So you just got to keep evaluating on these numbers. If you see these tight lines, you got to do a little evaluation.
Yeah, they will do some adjustments, or they will get killed or go out of business.
Yeah, when you see Green Bay minus 20 at home, I think they've over-adjusted. But that might be the next time I take the points at Green Bay. I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers. I'm telling you, after last night.
He is the best in the game. Jim Feist enjoyed the weekend, 2-0 with platinum plays, and he's 3-1 on the season with these football game of the year releases. He already has his non-conference game of the year up for Sunday. That's in the NFL. It's an early release. Here's the deal. It's $99 online at JimFeist.com, but if you want to get it for $19 with a bonus high roller going tonight, just call 1-855-846-7426. All right, let's get involved with this AFC East game going on Sunday. You got the Jets playing the Dolphins. 60% of the early money on the Jets. The total is 41. And the Jets have a new coach, and they're winning behind Todd Bowles, 2-1 record. Great defense, the quarterback situation. Overall, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But boy, 3 of those came the last game as they fell behind early, and it showcased his limitations against the Eagles, where he threw 3 picks early. So, Harvard, when you look at this team, 2-1, and they're getting off to a very good start here. But who are these Jets?
Well, let's clear up a couple things. First, this is Tuesday, and the show is taped 5 days ahead of time. And even though I talked about a lot of games last week, just like we're going to talk about the Jets-Miami game, I just wanted to let you know I did lose Detroit right here and Kansas City, so let's add that to the list of transparency. Another thing, on this Jet game, you got to get up early. The game goes at 6:30 a.m. Pacific. They're playing in London, and this is the big London game, and you might not want to miss it. But last week, what happened to the Jets? They played so well the first 2 games, and you know what they did? They weren't focused. They had no execution. Plus, you got to look in that emotional win for Philadelphia. They were desperate. But the Jets, interceptions, fumbles, missed tackles, sloppy play, 58 yards passing by Fitzpatrick in a pass-first league. You can't get by with that. Chris Ivory, he might be not playing, so one of the reasons I said this show was taped on Tuesday, we want to check his quads. He might be out. He only had 47 yards last week. I'm not sure if he's going to play in London or not. Especially it's always foggy and rainy there. Who knows if they want to put him on the field? But let me tell you something about this Jets as a team. They're coming off a loss, and they're playing before a bye week. Boy, is that a absolute recipe for going all out. They actually brought in a sleep specialist. He's going to work with them starting on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're limiting the amount of caffeine so they can get to sleep at certain times. They got all kinds of things that they're taking with this guy on the road. So, plus the Jets claimed Deion Barry yesterday, I believe, from Seattle. He's a safety, and he comes off to that great defense. So you got a pretty good New York Jets team. Now let's turn the corners and look at what does Joe Philbin have other than a little thread hanging on a job. I'm telling you, Ross is going to, this guy's going to be the first one fired. I'm not saying anything bad about Philbin. I like the guy and all that, but he is on the hot seat, and losing 41-14 to Buffalo, and getting Sue out there for $114 million on the books. There's no chemistry yet. The defensive coordinator that everybody called for his head last year, Kevin Coyle, and they kept him, and so Philbin's responsible for that. He should have been fired. Their offense is number 31. They have no pass protection. They have no run blocking. And I'll tell you another thing I noticed. I had my sources tell me yesterday on the game film from that Buffalo game that the coaches were breaking down to watch to see if there was any loafing or any sideline looks and issues to see if the team is breaking up the chemistry. Well, when you got coaches thinking that it might be a problem there probably is a problem there. So for this game, let's just throw the book away on Miami until they straighten it out and see what they can do, and let's go with the Jets minus the 2 points.
Yeah, I do feel bad for Miami here because this is scheduled as a divisional home game, and yet it's not. It's 5,000 miles away in England, and they're off that terrible start, too, of 1-2. I agree with you about Philbin. He is clearly on the hot seat. And look at the organization from top to bottom. They bring in Mike Wallace to give him Tannehill, a big weapon. He's one and done with all kinds of problems. This year, they bring in Sue to improve the run defense. Currently, they're 31st in the NFL at stopping the run, 145 yards per game. They're on a 1-7 spread run. Let's face it, they were lucky to beat Washington. They lost to the Jaguars, and then they had that disaster at home to Buffalo, giving up 151 yards rushing. So, Zach, are we looking at a bad, dysfunctional bunch of Dolphins from top to bottom?
No, I don't think so. This is a really tough game going in London. One of the things that I do, I'm not a totals guy, but I do remember I think last year or the year before I wrote a article on games in Europe, and I think it's been some crazy trend of the overs hitting in these games, so that's something to look at. But it's too early in the season to label any coach or the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo Bills historically have been a great team at Miami, even dating back to the years when Dan Marino was there. It's just something about matchups, and Buffalo has their advantage every single time. But what I see here in this game, Jets versus the Dolphins, is two quarterbacks that really are struggling. I just touched on that earlier, and that's what's going to make it really, really hard to get a gauge on who you want to take in this game. But you got Ryan Fitzpatrick, a winnable game against Philly. I mean, that defense shut down Sam Bradford. He only threw for 128 yards or something like that. But the 3 turnovers, Brandon Marshall's idiotic lateral play just killed them. And it's really going to be, is that offense going to be able to adjust and handle going to London after that type of week? I'm not sure. You got a Dolphins team that needs to improve defensively. They have the key players, as Hollis mentioned, that got paid. So that defense needs to give the Dolphins offense a little bit of support to adjust with a young team. Ryan Tannehill just got that contract, but you got 3 receivers that are pretty much brand new, and Rashard Matthews, Jarvis Landry, a couple other guys. They're young. Jordan Cameron at the tight end position, and then the running backs, of course, Lamar Miller and Jonas Gray. So that offense, I think it's going to take time to adjust. So I would have to side with Hollis on this one and take the Jets, just because that defense of the Jets has been their best thing right now. They're not going to go anywhere. I think they're going to force more turnovers with Ryan Tannehill and that young offense that's just going to need a little bit more time to adjust. So I see them going 1-3. And I don't think it's still panic time yet for Miami. I think they're going to regroup, but off this going to London type game, I would take the Jets and look for that defense to rise to the occasion.
Hey, 1-3 for Philbin, and it might be a little trip to the Tower of London. I'm telling you, they're ticked off down there in Miami.
Yeah.
Or London Bridge to jump off.
London Bridge, you'd have to find that in Havasu.
The Jets have actually owned this series as far as the spread is concerned. 23-9-1 ATS, and the dog is also 4-1 against the spread. I'm going to take a look at the total because I'm not sold on this Miami offensive line. They've had major problems the last couple of years. They keep making changes. Right now, Tannehill, 3 games, he's been sacked 7 times. They haven't had much of a running game. I love this Jets defense, but it's difficult for me to play the Jets over the total because of the conservative style of offense. You also don't know what you're going to get out of Fitzpatrick, but you do know they like to run the ball and play tough defense, ball control. They're also on an 8-3 run under the total. Meanwhile, Miami, when they play these AFC East division games, they're 13-5 under the total. Finally, head-to-head between these teams, 4-1 under the total. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a 20-13 kind of a game in London, but I'll lean toward this one under the total. All right, we got 2 more games coming up before we get to this Giants-Bills game. If you want to get free picks daily on a recorded message from Jim Feist, you can call 1-888-652-7668, or you can get them sent to your cell phone via text every day just by going to jimwins.com.